Technical difficult. Okay, here we go. Now I can hear myself. I'm all good now. I'm all good. I hear myself. How are you guys doing today? I'm excited to be here today. It's another Wednesday, another generational gap live, and I have a very special guest. I always say it's a very special guest, but everybody is very special because they all give great knowledge that have all impacted me in different ways and all led me in different directions to get me where I am today. So the people that I bring on this show are special, and they have impacted me in one way or another, whether they recognize it or not. But today I have somebody a little different. I have a very, again, like last week, I have someone who wears many hats, does many great things, and has great information. Now I'm not going to speak too long. I'm going to let him speak for himself. But today we do have Walter Kemp the third, I think, for the third. Yes, sir. So today we have Walter Kemp the third, and my experience with Mr. Walter is he plays at my church, and I used to play drums at the church. And it was interesting. I've been playing drums for a good part of my life, and I think that a lot of times with music, you starting to get a feel. You can feel when someone knows they're talking about. And I remember this specific section. I haven't played in churches for very long. I don't really play as much anymore. But when I played in the church, I'd always played with bands that were always very close to me. So I learned something. I learned something called a body cue. When there was a moment where he wanted me to emphasize it, punctuate it, snap his head down. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And it was interesting learning that and getting used to that and getting comfortable with that. But that changed the way that I look at music. There's some things that you just feel. And it's hard to explain that to someone who doesn't play music. So now that we have him in the room, how are you doing today, Mr. Walter? How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, Austin. I never knew that.
That was my first experience with that. And yeah, I can hear him. That was my first experience with that, and yeah, it was weird. The thing with church and playing in church was I was scared, and so first, when you're playing with someone who's scared, especially on the drums, it's difficult because they don't want to. How are you on the drums? You don't want to make a lot of noise. I want to kind of blend in, but those moments, it made me more comfortable with my playing, and it made me realize that a lot of times, whether in drumming or in life, sometimes what can happen is it's a lot of times better to do too much and have to pull yourself back than be too scared at all. Because if you're too scared at all, man, I would miss moments because I was scared of making noise. And so it was just a good experience for me as far as confidence, but learning that was nice. And then when I watch other musicians, I can see how they communicate outside of words now. And it's cool when you kind of know the little inside things. I can see when the piano player throws a little pointer and you see the drummer react. I now know that it's deeper than just even that. It's felt almost, and that was a cool moment for me. um
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is, and I'm running into this with my daughter. Your generation hasn't been in church like the way we were in church. So beyond not even knowing the cues, you might not even know what we singing. It's like totally foreign. And I was raised a lot harder than probably what I gestured to you any Sunday. So um, my generation, we had to tone it down, and we did because with our kids and just younger people that's been under us, we just learned um, how to speak with them through our own experiences. Like when I went to college, I stopped going to church. However, the college I went to, a lot of black schools, they have what they call chapel credits, and they might have changed the name now, but basically you get them. You have to go to church on Thursdays, or it's like a day during the week, and they're going to do it on campus, and they're going to have the campus, the university choir there, and they're basically going to have church. And you sign in, and they take account of who was there, and that goes towards you graduating. You have to have so many chapel credits, and yeah. So as far as communicate, I do like to keep it a little bit of bite because it's my personality. I think it has to be in any mentorship. You have to be comfortable, but you can't be too comfortable at first. For me, when I'm mentoring young people, I want to keep them a little bit. Even if I know they're a little comfortable, I'm gonna give them a little edge. If I see they're completely scared of me, I'm gonna come off of them. Um, and so that's my experience because I want to have a little bit of. I gotta stay on my toes. I can't be. I don't need you so lackadaisy, but then I don't want you nervous because anxiety, you can't do anything.
right.
That you got anxiety from rap. So yeah, man.
And
Cool,
that's
bro.
very true. And I think that as we talk about that within the second question, I know you mentioned mentorship. When we get deeper into that aspect, I think that'll be a very interesting perspective because to your point, it is a balance. It's a little dance where I need to push the best out of you, but I can't push you so far where not that maybe you can't do it, but you don't believe you can do it anymore. Because now
Yeah.
I'm now really I'm doing the things through you. And you never want to live vicariously. You're trying to lift people up. You're not trying to live through them. And so I think as we get later into it, that'll be very interesting to delve into. But getting into that first question of communication, the first question I always ask, which is very basic, and I always preface it by saying it's because I don't want to make assumptions, right? My experiences aren't your experiences, aren't the other person's experiences. So my first question is, what are your particular experiences, either at work or in your personal life, communicating with young people, or what are some things that you have found that stick out for you?
Um, People that really want to, I'm the weeder outer. If you really want to do it, and that's kind of why I lay in a little bit. I want to find out if you really want to do it. Is it your anxiety, or is it, what's going on? Is it your lifestyle? Like what's going on in your life? Typically, I can find out what's going on with people. Now, do I come in and yeah, I sit down? No, I'm cool. Hey, what's up, man? I don't even make that. When people be like Mr. Kemp, I'm like, nah, walk. Because I have enough of, and I didn't know this about myself, even as a young guy like your age. I had this persona that I didn't know. And guys would say it, friends would say it. I'd be like, man, get out of here. Because I was tiny. Still wasn't even that big either. But now that I'm older and I look back and I'm like, man, I always was kind of like this. So I try to, I have a very confident, like serious kind of thing sometimes. And I try to first when I meet somebody young, I take that off, and then I'm like, okay, because and the reason why I'm telling you the story like is because I'm always meeting young people because I work at Villa Maria College, so I'm always like, they got to come if they're in the jazz or in anything that is like other than rock, they need to come my way so that we can talk about the business. Because and not only that, and I forgot, I teach 2 lectures, so we got to talk about. You need music industry too, and you need events and production 406 to graduate. So you're gonna, I mean, in the last 2 years, everybody had to come my way. I'll say year and a half because I didn't get events and production to the last 2 semesters. So I'll say I'll go fully 1 year. Everybody in the music department and that needed to graduate it had to come my way, and we got some serious talking. And the biggest thing is what people see from me is like Walt gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you how I did it, mistakes I did, um, and what worked for me. Like I'm not gonna pull no punches. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and you don't have to do it. I'll tell you, like you don't have to do it. Like there is no. And that's one. It's funny. This guy made the name of Sean from Buffalo. Sean's almost 60 or around there. Sean, I'm sorry if you see this. I told your age, bro. He good looking brother. You wouldn't know that. But he's been with Cooling Gang for a while. He had seen me years ago, playing like, yo, you killing. And I have a day gig too. And he saw me at a day gig and he was like, yo, we just rapping about music. He's like, man, anytime you need blah, 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 let me know. And he was just like, there is no cookie cutter to this game because right now his daughter is real good and she's like in her mid to late 20s and she's doing the same thing he was doing. He got picked up on Cooler the Gang in Singapore. He had his own band. They were doing like weddings, like just any type of band. And they double billed. They were headlining. They only took him out of the band. The band was killing, but they only took him. He was like, man, it's no formula for this. It's like you do your best, you lay all your eggs out. We're talking about music and art. So that was his generation hit me up like, bro, you doing your thing. So that's the first thing I tell these kids. I'm like, listen, we in this class, you're gonna get this degree. This degree gives you options. This is not the end all, the end all. This
Yeah.
degree may be the fallback. I tell a lot of my students, I'm like, listen, grab this degree so you can grab a master's. And I tell them start substitute teaching because you could substitute the day you want to work. So if you got a studio session or you gone for a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever. And you got something to do. You can be a substitute. And then
Right.
when you come back, get back on, let them know you're back on the list and go substitute. I try to give a little tricks of the trade because I'm an artist, but I've had to have a job. Like I've had
Right.
to, because I have a family and stuff. So I come from a very real world. Plus, they see me a lot. That's one reason why um, I'm hired not only for my knowledge, but my visibility with the school. Like they're like, yo, walk outside. Like he ain't lying. So when they don't realize they see me till they get a little older. They either can play for a band or they got this thing late at night. They think they doing something big and I'm in the room. They're like, oh, Kemp in the room. Oh, Walt, what's up? I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? I heard you playing with so and so and so, so get it. So then they like, oh, well, he's really, or they over there see like, it's social media. So it's really being genuine, being real. All your stuff checks out. That's the biggest thing. There it is. Okay, so I'm on tour, and when I'm on tour, I like to have younger cats with me. I have some, or just cats I love. And there's a couple younger cats. They always check Google. Like they gotta fact check. I gotta fact check this.
Right.
I
Right.
never had to. So that's the biggest thing for young folk when you don't lie to them. Because if they find out, they'll never follow you again.
That is very
And if you say something and you were just wrong, you didn't lie, and you don't acknowledge it, it's gonna look. So you gotta be like, yo, my bad. That wasn't right. Don't lie. Now it took me a second. Like I would say in my early 30s when I was dealing with people like 19 that would come around the club, and I even took a young cat who's now 30 now. I took a young cat overseas with me, and he was like early 20s, and I couldn't figure out why was I bickering with this dude constantly when we got. And it hit me now. He's a fact checker. He was like, no, that's not how it is. And now, of course, I'm older. I'm like, oh, that's just what that age does. And I did the same thing at that age. So the biggest thing is just don't lie, be real. If you got any enlightenment, keep it be emphatic on it. Like don't even. I'm not gonna dance around this for you, bro. This is what this is from my experience. Maybe you'll be different. So that's really how I roll with that.
That's a lot of different topics. And a question I want to ask you, touching on a past topic, you talked about kind of weeding out those people who really want to do it and really don't want to do it. And I'm going to ask you because I know a lot of people struggle with this. You know the term analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure every fact is straight. You want to make sure, but sometimes what happens is we get in these fields like music, art, business, you creative spaces, you don't really know when you are going to hit, right? To your point, you're in Singapore playing a wedding and now Cool in the Game walking. You weren't expected for this and you couldn't plan for this. Even if you didn't know the day before. You really aren't even really prepared the day of. So my question to you is, what do you think is more important as a young person trying to follow their dreams? Do you think it's the skill or do you think it's the willingness to put themselves out there and fall on their
all,
face?
all, all the above. Like I can't put myself out there and I can't play. It don't work that way. And that's what that makes me mad about the younger generation. I'm like, bruh, this ain't social media. You better know how to play that guitar. just you can't get on there and be telling us lies. Bruh, you better know what you're doing. Don't be drumming because they're going, you know. And then so that's the biggest thing. And then I do have people that are good. Like, and I'm trying to push them, and they don't want to show nobody. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I'm like, this kid got it, and he don't want to let nobody know he got it. So I try to create avenues where they can be around people. Or, come on, man, be in my sound. I need you for this gig. I need you for this, and they'll do it for me. But they locked in their world right now. So it gets at the end of the day, people got to choose what they're gonna choose. But you always have to be prepared. Monk said this: always be ready. You never know when the call is gonna come, and that happens to me sometimes. Like I'll fall off and not really practice it all the time, and at least just going through a regimen of maintenance. I call it facility maintenance, where I'm just making sure that I can get to everything I want to get to on that piano.
Right.
lately in my life, I'm doing more avant-garde, way avant-garde music. People thought I was doing avant-garde before. I'm doing avant-garde. So, and then some of my other stuff is like in and out. I do some avant-garde and I'll go back. Like it's really, I call it the black hole because it's black music. Black music is all over the place, right? So it's the black hole. And that's one of my projects is the black hole. And then I've got this real out project that I haven't. I'm trying to find a place to release it. It's me. It's this cat, on Kai Davis, who was with the Sunrise Orchestra. If you ever you ever get a chance, check out the Sunrise Orchestra. Let your mom know it's the Sunrise Orchestra because it's kind of crazy. So, like, Ma, I'm just checking out some music. It ain't no, it's a little nuts. But I think you old enough to check that out and see what Sunrise is about. He was the planets, the moon. He did all that stuff, and then he incorporated it into music and art. Um, so yeah, it you got to be ready. Monk said you got to be ready, and the call will always come, and always take when it comes, take advantage. You know.
Right. No, definitely. Yeah. Be prepared, right? Because what people always talk about opportunities, preparedness plus that. Or no, success is preparedness plus an opportunity. And both of those, like you said, play a key role.
Plus,
I think for me,
plus as they say too, you got to add that little extra. They say plus fortune. We won't believe in fortune, so plus blessings. Like you need that little bit of
right.
intervention to keep going.
Right, for sure, for sure. I think when I took my gap year, the biggest thing was it was a lot of preparation behind the scenes. But I think to that point, to those people you're talking about that may have it is another step. That's another process, right? You get the skills, but having the willingness and the confidence in yourself to go out there and do it, that's a whole nother step. So to segue into the second question, it's a really good point about that whole balance, right? People that want to go out, that people aren't prepared, but do it all the time. The social media, like you said, you go out there, you hop on the guitar and you only know two notes, or you only know like, smoke on the water. Ooh, tough. I mean, at least you're there, but sheesh. Versus the people who have the skills and are keep it very closeted. And so my second question was, how do you facilitate a mentoring relationship as someone who does that? And what does that look like? But I want to add an extra piece because what we're talking about for those people who have the skills but don't have the confidence or the drive to push it out there. You said you try to create avenues, like you said. Can you delve a little deeper into how someone could potentially create an avenue for themselves if they're not too confident, but they want to get out there and they have the skills, right? We're assuming they have the facilities. What would you tell to someone to maybe encourage them or to give them a good way to look at it for how to get out there? Because I think a lot of people are afraid of that failure, right? You may have the skills, but now when you're on the stage, you feel like all the skills, you feel like you left the skills at home.
Yeah.
How do you get over that and how do you continue to push yourself forward either as a mentor or as the mentee?
Well, a couple things as a mentee, you got to watch your tribe. So you want to make sure you're the kind of the least talented that's around you. So when I was younger, that's what I did. When I was playing with Groovology, I probably was the least talented. When I was doing stuff, I was creative. I was organized, but at a certain point, I probably was the least talented. And certain other cats that I was around, I was the least talented. And then being around them, just say I won't leave around them. That's the only stage I won't leave. Maybe I might be scared to get up an open mic or a jam session or whatever it may be, or get that call back, but I won't leave. Now, another thing is, don't think that cats on that are better, quote end quote, better than you, or that are touring don't have anxiety. I've seen the best while I'm on whatever tour or doing whatever, run to bathrooms and stuff like that, calm themselves. I'll have a certain routine. And I was like, oh, that is anxiety. Didn't say anything, but in my head, I know what anxiety is because we all suffer from it in certain areas of our life. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that's how to deal with it. Because I know I deal with it in certain areas. Um, it gets real stiff and tough for me at certain places, especially, and I've had failures in that. I've had places because you don't like to be talked about, but I've always, went push back out. But for the person that doesn't or that have an issue with this, hey, just stay, keep your tribe, better than you. Keep your tribe, positive. If you always with cats that's always talking about what you doing. Let's say you do a podcast and you with a whole bunch of podcasters, you're gonna just happen to just get better. It's
Right.
like I suppose I don't know. It just happens. If you with basketball players and you just kept hanging around them, even if you like the least of the least skills, you're just gonna get better. So that the biggest thing is your environment. Who are you around? And then from there is um are you working on the it's normally every craft has its business. That's the thing that you really ain't good at. Like, you know, from social media, are you posting every day to even if it's just posting, whatever. You put a hat down instead of catchy phrase, just so that you get this algorithm moving and just get people, you know, you know, just getting things going on. So um, it's important that you do these things. Um, as a mentee, as a mentor. If I see a cat and I'm like, okay, what gig can he get on or she get on that um, doesn't is more success? What gig is less opportunity for failure? So a lot of times, maybe I'll have like we got to play for it at school, and I need a drummer or something, and I'll work the drummer in, or maybe in jazz ensemble, um, they can run a rehearsal. I'm like, okay, we'll you run this rehearsal on piano because that's the practice for getting you out there. You haven't run a rehearsal yet. And when I say run a rehearsal, I mean you actually are physically on the instrument instead of me being on the instrument, and I'm just directing. And you can do the piano. I've done that before. Say, hey, take the piano, do that. So just put them in certain situations, and try to just keep pulling them out. And I've even done that for people that I feel are just good personalities. Like for in what in my tribe community, I'm like, you need to be the moderator. You need to be doing. You need to be the one asking the interview questions. The camera loves you. I just had a with this one personality is female. I was like, you have to continue to do this. And the funny thing is, she has been employed with everyone but she's always done administration behind the scenes. When I mean everyone, I'm talking like Spike Lee, everyone. But she's always been behind the scenes, and I'm like, yo, I need you on that camera because it's doing something different to when I'm in this, when I'm bringing different artists in, they react to you different than me. They're gonna put on this kind of this chauvinistic vibe, and depending on what we're doing, that might be what we're looking for. But sometimes I want the secrets, and a woman can just get it right out of you and get the skin, keep them smiling. So it's just different. I have to kind of be kind of know people's tendencies or what I think they might do, what they need. Go with that. It doesn't always work. So
Right.
yeah,
And I didn't mean to. I was gonna say that I'm gonna be turning right in a little bit. I've been slacking on that. I've just been listening. I gotta kind of put these on board with people that are kind of more a little visual because to your point, it's a lot of good knowledge. And I'm trying to make sure I document it. But yeah,
cool.
so how do you, like we said, you get to know your mentee, you put them in favorable situations. Um,
Yeah.
oh, I just forgot my question. It was the first time. I just forgot my question. That was the first time I ever forgot my question.
That happened.
Um,
You're doing a lot at the same time. I can tell you one thing. When you asked me to do this, and we're talking about going to Howard, it's just you're going to get that a lot when you go there. My it's funny. Your mother's friend Monica, where I met your mother at years ago, and I think I was like I don't know, junior college or something like that. Your mother had already started working. She was at GM. She was an engineer, and Monica, my soon-to-be sister-in-law, was working with her. She introduced us together, but they all like her and my wife. I believe, if I'm correct, they all went to like white schools, and the mentee and mentor is different. And the way
right,
I mentor is kind of how I went to college. That's kind of how they did it. They had, they pulled you to a side. They put you in favorable situations. They kept in contact. Made sure you had a great tribe. Those chapel credits I talked about, that also is going to be. They'll have sessions like um, living black, young and black in America looking for employment. Uh, Black men um, uh, trying to make it with a 4-year education. The disparity, and you have all those classes. You have some of them you're gonna have to go because you're gonna need chapel credits because you can't get all 900 from church. So they would have that, and who would come in? They have, of course, people from nationally, but a lot of people, black folk from the area, alumni. So now you got a family, right? They know you. They, oh, you from Buffalo too? Yeah, I'm from in '88. I went to, that whole vibe is going on. And now you got a cat that's checking on you. You don't really know what's going on because you trying to balance life. And at that age, everything is what it is. So yeah, when it comes to, and the difference was when my wife was, I'm glad she went. When my wife was in school, she went to, a public school basically, SUNY, and it's predominantly white, totally different. She got a black student union at my school. I got a student union, um, and it's just like and it was weird because at my school you have a lot of the issues you don't have. Like some of your tribe at my wife's school, they didn't want to be a part of the whole black student union vibe. That wasn't their vibe, even though they, black, and you respect that. At my school,
Right.
that never came up. Like we don't even know that's in you because you just black, and everybody ain't the same because nobody is. We not, and we just, it was very different. So that was when she came to mine, she would go to Gold Bowl and get like fried chicken. She'd be like, "What is going on around here?" It was like but flip side of that, we don't have the resources. Same thing that was
Right.
going on. Roland Martin was going on was Bethune Cookman. We just don't. My wife opened up an elementary school. We started with $250,000, and we kept getting. It's just we needed more. We needed to start with $1 million. Like if that's an elementary school, what do you think of college university? I don't know, 250 mil at least.
Right.
Because like you have people's children and some people, older people. Like universities ain't just for young folks. So it's like, and we're doing housing and we're doing food, lodging and food. So and programming and pedagogy. So it takes a lot, and people, I just gave 30 million to that. 30 million was just we just fixed the mole in 3 dorms with that 30 million. Thank you so much, but we need more. You're like, we need more. So and with the government, with a lot of public, they gonna get fed. They gonna get fed. The state gonna feed them, feed them, feed them. And that's the difference. And so your amenities won't be like my wife's amenities was off the chain. Like she was an IRA and had her own room. I want to say like maybe her sophomore year. I'm like, whoa, wow. So she's a year older than me. I came there as a freshman. Like, you got your own place. Like, what is going on here? Like, I'm living in the dungeon. Bro, like where my couch is right now, that's where my man is sleeping. Like, yo, listen, like it's real tight up in here. Like literally, the history on my door was it was a jail. Like, and the walls, you could tell like this was a jail. Like that was a just like when they slammed the door. Like I'm living in the jail. Like, but it was slavery. Ex-slaves bought the land, so you appreciate that. You say, wow, and then they turned it into a school because they needed to educate their children. And let's not put anybody can hurt you. Just because you black don't mean you can't. There you go. Humans are humans. Make sure we know that straight up.
Right.
Humans. So when you go to Howard, especially you in DC, keep your head on. Like, be focused, young man, because they out there. And it's crazy in DC and Baltimore. Like crime. First time I seen a crack line, I was up in Baltimore and at my cousin's. He was going to Morgan, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, that's the crack line. Hey, this might not be the place for me. Let me get on out of here." Because look how many cops going around. Like this is normal. Okay. But my point is, when you get wherever you at, don't just be, well, they my people. Everybody, everybody deserves a true and a true assessment. That's black, white, pink, yellow, they, them, whatever you want to say. True assessment.
Right. And that's very true. I think sometimes it's very easy to, when you're, and I need these following questions are kind of just for finding a mentor, right? We're talking about Howard and what is that process like? To your point, I think a lot of times you can make an assumption on what you see or how someone looks, right? Like you go to Howard, everybody looks like me, everybody wants the best for me, but that's not true, like you're saying. And it's your job, right? Especially if you're looking for a mentor or you're someone who's making that relation. It's your job to vet the source, right? They're bringing their knowledge, but ultimately, like you said, you got to find the correct mentor and place for you. And that is your job as someone who's receiving the mentoring. And I think that, like you said, being aware of your environment sometimes, yeah, I don't know if I want to really go around the crack line to go to math class, me personally. So I think that probably would have been a great spot
Yeah,
for me either. But
they ain't got it on the university now. And
oh,
we was actually driving around. They ain't got it on the
okay,
university. They protect them kids. They ain't doing. They got university police. And with mentoring, you're gonna have a lot of mentors. It's not just one person that's a scope person. They gonna give you a nugget to keep it moving. They ain't got time to be around, young man. And then some people will like be your advisor or be in your area. And you see them a lot. Some people say, hey, this is what we need. Blah 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 blah. You know, like one of the first ones that helped me out was my English teacher. I think they do pre-pledge and all this other stuff with Greek and things. And then black school, especially small black schools, you a Greek, you a genius, or you an athlete. And I ran track, but I was doing some stuff with the Greek stuff. So I'm like, yo, I need this grade. Like I can't get that C. I need that. She looking at me like she a Delta, like that ain't gonna work here. And she had to let you just because you can't beg nobody for nothing. You go ahead and earn it.
right,
Man, they did me that way. Nah, you got to earn that jack. You know, I don't care how good you can step. I don't care how many times you've been over somebody's crib or whatever they did. Nah, Jack, you gonna have to go through her. And she was cool. She cool. I mean, she was young back then too. She probably, wow, that's been years. So
and
yeah,
that's
she was
yeah,
cool. I was
that
mad for
kernel
a while. Now I completely understand.
no, that's
Completely
true.
understand.
That has to happen. I think, like you said, the good point. It like mentors come and go in your life, and you just take knowledge and you keep moving. You take these nuggets, you sift through them, and then those pieces eventually line up for a bigger. I guess you say you've had mentors, but it's not really like one person changed your life. Typically, now, some people you find the one mentor and that's
Yeah,
all they're
yeah,
exposed to. But I would argue that it's to the benefit of the mentee to explore other mentors because if you get all your information from one person, that's not a recipe for success in any venture, right? You got to
yeah,
diversify sources,
yeah,
the people, other
yeah.
sources, and
And
experience.
yeah. And some of it's academia. So we're purely talking about academia now. But man, I had great uncles. And that mentorship was living that life. And my dad was great. So you got a good dad too. You know, I don't know if you see it or whatever, but it'll come to light. And those little nuggets, you'll be like, all right, let me see what's good. Because it helps to see how to do it. You know,
Right.
your parents, they have different functions. Your mother is personal personification. How someone's gonna treat you and how you gonna treat them. That's what you learn from mom. How they gonna treat you, how you gonna treat them. You wanna, that's straight up. And if you're blessed to have mom and dad in the mix, dad gonna teach you this how you get up every day, dog. This how you whatever you doing. Okay, you a musician, you get up every day. You can't be a musician in the bed. You get up every day. My dad was a musician. He got up every day. He put this on. And his field was in music. He was a music teacher, but he every day you get up, do something. And he would leave town, did France for a month. He would do stuff. So it's no coinky dink that I'm running around doing a lot of stuff because I
Right.
seen it done. My mom constantly busy, seen it done. So and there's no coinky dink. You doing what you doing? You dig?
Right.
Because you seen it done. Like I seen them do. I seen it. Okay. It's they poured it all into you. Now how it come out is different. Everybody,
Right.
I'm so different. Yeah, you're unique, but not as different as you think you are. You're unique. You're Austin.
Right.
From so you take those nuggets and you say okay, and it's not like it's a pride thing. It's like yeah, it's in me. Like you should be saying, yo, I'm good. I'm I'm good, blessed to the day because they poured it. It's already there. Ain't no.
Right.
And that's the beauty of mentoring when you got somebody that really has a great childhood foundation. Woo, it makes it so much easier. They
Makes
compass
it
ain't all over the place. They for right and wrong. You know, they
right.
got body management. You know, so you in a great situation.
No, definitely. And like I said, I don't want to keep you too long, but I think it was a lot of good information as the board shows, and I think that to that point, that this could serve as helpful for anybody at any age and really in any venture when you're talking about finding mentorship, right? Because just like in music, you got to prepare yourself for business, and when you get in front of that stage, you need to rock out, right?
Yeah,
Right, or else
yeah, yeah,
you're gonna be a long walk home if you don't got no gas in your
yeah,
car.
yeah,
Rock out. So
yeah.
at that point, you definitely have to rock out in any venture. And finding a mentor, which I found is very useful. Like you said, and this is a hard thing I had to realize. As different as anybody feels, there's been too many years of history. Ain't nobody reinventing the wheel no more. We just changing the
No,
design. It's just
yeah. It's just that's all. And one thing I really want to say is you will fail. So I like what Hurt said on there. You learn. I mean, you lose. No, no, you win or you learn. So you don't never really fail. You just learn.
right,
You just learn. You learn something there. Perfect. Good lesson. Well, I'll try not to do that again. So
right,
you don't get depressed about it. You say, okay, cool. I won't do this again. Now, a little bit of pain that you have in your heart from that happening, you get over it, but you won't do it again. Don't be the one that runs. Say, I quit. I can't do this. Nah, you can't do that. So yeah, bro.
right, for sure. Definitely. And I should add that last as persevere. So, kind of leading to this recap, I'm not gonna recap too in depth because, like we said, I normally do that typically. I'm not gonna keep the guests on too much longer. But is there anything you'd like to leave the stream with specifically? Any specific word of encouragement, advice, or maybe just any shout outs? I know you talked about the products you're putting out and some things that we should check out. I can write them on the board as well. So, anything you want to leave the stream with particularly?
Yeah, I mean, be on the lookout for Walter Kemp 3 and the Black Hole. Um, any Walter Kemp 3 album coming out. I got a few things should be dropping this year, 2023. Also, keep pushing. Keep pushing. You need to have that happy balance. And if you're dealing with any anxiety or any type of mental illness, check your diet. Um, when I say check your diet, make sure you eat enough protein. Make sure you're eating every 4 hours. We have severe deficiencies in those areas, especially people of color, and we wonder why we get mad when we get angry, anxious when we get angry, or misjudgment, forgetting, anxiety at that time. I can't do. Make sure your diet is where it needs to be, and make sure you're up to. Super huge.
Right. Don't take care of yourself. Nothing else matters. Because you could have all the money in the world, but if you're not here to, ooh, oh, okay, sorry. You could have all the money in the world, but if you're not here to actually use it or make good with it, it's really just paper at the end of the day. So no, definitely that's very true, and I appreciate the time today. I learned, like I said, I learned a lot. I know anybody that uses is gonna learn a lot, and I it sounds crazy, but I guess I'll see you on Sunday.
All right, bro. See, oh no, I won't be there. I'm gonna be out of town. Yeah, I'm away, but I'll be back Sunday after, brother.
All right, I'll see you in 2 Sundays. Thank you again, and have a good rest of your day.
You too, bro. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you. So for the quick recap for the viewers, I'm gonna kind of run through a little easier. Like I said, I don't try to keep the guests on the stream too long. I don't want to, bog nobody's day down, but we learned a lot. We learned a lot of good information, especially in the mentorship role. whether you're in business, art, creative space, like we said, mentorship is just a thing that it's good, right? Like you're not going to reinvent the wheel. So a lot of times it's a lot easier to find people that have done it before. But that being said, there's some things you got to be cognizant of, whether you're the person that someone's found or you're the person looking, right? We talked about recognizing and know your tribe, and that was very true. I think that really rung true for me as well. I have a friend, and kind of going off what he talked about, I have a friend who we all play basketball, me and my friend group. I have a friend who plays hockey, and then I lost to him one on one. I don't know what happened, but you spend enough times with people, and he just got good enough to start beating me. And now when we go to play, we got to bring him with us because he's that good now, right? He can make a shot now because he's been around people that were constantly, zipping you 5 zip, 6 zip, 7 zip. After a while, I mean, if you either you're gonna lead the group or you're just gonna get better. And like he said, and as a testament to the story, he did get much better. Recognize that we're human, right? Anxiety is normal. I watched the video the other day and it said that life is hard, period. And you have to become aware of that. For as a human, life is hard. It's gonna be hard. You're gonna be anxious. You're gonna be scared. But that being said, that can't be the barrier to your success. It can't be if you have the gift, if you've done the preparation, fear can't be the barrier to your success. Apprehension, nervousness can't be the fear to your success because we're human, and that's part of the game. And whether you're Michael Jackson or you're a freelance musician, you're gonna be scared sometimes. But the real winners are able to push through that fear and do in spite of. That's like I love that quote, in spite of. Know your mentee, right? When you're mentoring and you're in that mentorship position, it behooves you. Your job is to know the mentee and set them up for success. I know he talked about when you have musicians who have the gift but don't want to do it. Hey, come do a sound check. Hey, come do this. Because to your point, when you know your mentee, you know how hard you can push them and where they need to go to, you can make better judge decisions. I can't be mad at a mentor for giving me bad advice if he didn't know me. I can't be mad at the advice at least. I can be mad that you didn't know me, but I can't be mad at the advice because you're making statements on what you know. But a lot of times we don't do that extra to make sure that what we know is everything that we should know because there's levels to that. Find the correct mentor for you. I know we talked about Howard, right? Find somebody who connects you and resonates with you. It's not about always what they look like, but maybe it is someone who looks like you, someone who's done what you've done, walk that path. Find the mentor for you. Everybody isn't the mentor for you no matter how much they want to. Some people want to pour into you, but it's not the equivalent exchange. It's not what you need. They're pouring in things that are great. But if you fill yourself up with great things, you'll just be a great person. But if you want to be the person you were designed to be, you got to fill yourself up with things that are designed for you. It's not just about, information is information, great. But what information does Austin Martin need to hear in order to be the best version of myself? That's the real key. And those are the mentors I have to surround myself with. Vet your sources, right? And we talk about that. Even when you find your mentor, constantly, am I making sure that what my mentor is saying aligns with what I'm doing? I've said it time and time again. I'm grateful for all the advice that I receive. But a lot of times, what I don't tell people is if you're giving me advice and you're not quite always where I want to be, I'm going to take your advice with a grain of salt because I have to vet my sources. Why would it make sense for me to take advice from someone who's never done what I want to do? Nah, I'm not saying you can't get information and knowledge and nuggets, but what I am saying is vet your sources and make sure that not only what they're saying is true and veritable, but what they're saying is then in line with how the way that they live and the way that you want to live. Right. And I know that the piece we talked about as well within that is don't lie to your mentee, right? Because we are a generation of young people who will go to Google. We will check you out. And like we said, once you missing 2, 3 red flags, you don't miss 2, 3 mentor things that are just completely off the wall. I'm not gonna really start listening to your advice the same way as someone who's been time and time again never steered me wrong. We're not looking for perfection, but we're looking for effort, right? Even if you steer me wrong and then you say, hey, that was wrong, this is what it actually is, that's a right judgment, even though it may have been later or delayed. And then don't beg, earn. I think that was really big for me. I think a lot of people, I thought for some reason when I got into business, and this is arrogant, and this is what it was. Everybody thinks it is the Dunning-Kruger effect. I was the peak of Mount Stupid, as they call it, which is not a nice term, but it's a curve. It's a graph going like, and I can draw it. It's a graph going like this. Right. And so when you just start an activity, you think you're the best. And then, because you're very confident, but you're not really that good. And then you start to realize just how bad you are. And this is called the valley of despair. Because you're like, man, I'm never gonna figure this out. But here's where the winners come. It's when you build out of that, when you bridge out of that. These are the years of experience, right? This was the first week of my gap year. These were the following 8 months. I was like, man, it's gonna be butter. Easy money, $1 million in the bank, man. Hellcat, what you want? Private flight, where? All my friends out of state. Yo, don't worry, I'll fly out there in 2 months. No, I did not fly out there in 2 months. I did not fly out there in 2 months. I did not, because I thought, you don't know what you know. And I had to realize that I can't just say, oh man, why does nobody want to work with me? Why does nobody want to work with me? I was begging. I was begging. And honestly, when I changed my mindset from begging to earn, changed the game. I realized nobody owes me anything. And people are going to do what they find value in. And so it's my job to be valuable to them. And so this recap, I know I went a little more in depth, added a couple extra things, but I think to that point, a lot of stuff we discussed is very true. And whether you're in business, the art space, or a creative space, a mentor is important. And make sure that when you're finding a mentor, you follow these things. And simultaneously, vice versa. As a mentor, make sure you also follow these keys so you're not setting anybody up for failure, willingly or unwillingly. So I hope you guys learned something today. I know it was a little longer, but it was good information. I think that these mentorship things we talk about, communication is the path to move people forward. And so oftentimes I think people will be scared of mentorship, but it's necessary. Have to learn from others, because you just there's not enough time in the world to do it all again. Nobody's reinventing the wheel. And that sometimes hurts me to remember. So for the quick wrap up, thank you guys all, and I hope you guys learned something great. If you want to be a guest on the show, be sure to check it out. Check me out at www.austinvaughnmartin.com. You can go on my website, scroll down to the orange box, pick a date, and we'll get you on the show. As well as please tune in on Thursday at 9 for me and my mother's podcast. We'll be talking about some very interesting things there, as always. And if you want to check out any of my blogs or other videos, you can check out my LinkedIn at Austin Vaughn Martin, my YouTube at Austin Vaughn Martin, or my Facebook page at Austin Vaughn Martin. And be sure to share and like if you learned anything. So thank you guys all. Have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.